Have you ever had your guest overstay their welcome? Well, we all know what that feels like, right? That's what happens in a new play in Albuquerque. A famed New York theater critic goes to dinner, slips and falls, then's ordered to stay at that home, driving the dinner host crazy. Joining us for this week's Theater Thursday, and with more on what audiences can expect in the play, The Man Who Came to Dinner, are Charles Fisher and Arlette Morgan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
First, let's start off with, he goes to dinner. He slips and falls, and then what happens? Why does he have to stay?
He is suspected of having fractured his hip.
Oh.
And I'll leave it at that as to whether he actually has fractured his hip, and then proceeds to say that he must carry on his activities, because he's a famous man, in their home, and therefore takes over the living room, the library, the dining room, and the kitchen.
For how many days? Weeks?
Well, this is weeks.
Weeks.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, we've all had the guest that comes over, and you're like, it's been 2 hours. You need to go now, and you don't know how to politely tell them to leave. This goes on for weeks?
To which he then adds the extra indignity of both inviting all of his friends to drop by, celebrity friends and scientists, and then starts inviting people to send them exotic animals, which include penguins, an octopus, and cockroaches.
So he comes to dinner and he never leaves, pretty much.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. So what my understanding is that Sheridan Whiteside, is that the person who came to dinner? It's based on a real person, is that true?
Based on a real person. Alexander Woolcott,
Okay.
who was for many years the theatre critic for the New York Times, and apparently was both a brilliant theatre critic and also a really caustic, acerbic, sharp person.
Okay.
Some theatres wouldn't let him review their plays because he'd said such terrible things about them. And he also wrote the original Shouts and Murmurs column in the New Yorker magazine, which is still there, as called Shouts and Murmurs. And he was a great friend of Hart and Kaufman, who wrote the play, and descended upon Hart's Bucks County, Pennsylvania country home and essentially took it over.
So this is based on real
Based
life
on exactly.
experience.
And they took over the master bedroom, terrorized the servants, and while Hart and Kaufman were talking about what had happened, Moss Hart said, "Thank God he didn't break his leg, or we'd never have got rid of him." And then the light bulb went off, and they said, "Oh,
wait a second,
maybe we've got a play here."
Yeah, pretty good play.
1939, ran for nearly 3 years. 739 shows were done on Broadway.
Wow, and I think a lot of people can really relate to this. You know, having that unwanted guest, and you don't want to be rude. You're trying to be nice, but how long can you possibly be nice?
Exactly.
And how far can they push it before you're finally like, you need to get out of here? So you were talking a little bit about celebrities. You don't specifically name them, but you mentioned that the characters are based on celebrities.
In addition to
Can you give us a little hint as to?
Sure. The character of Beverly Carlton is based on Noah Coward.
Okay.
A very funny look at Noah Coward, who comes in and says things like, I don't want to hear anything about you. We should talk about me, and I shall love it.
Wow.
Things
Okay.
which he may or may not have said, probably said. Knowing him. The character that I play, Lorraine Sheldon, is based on kind of a mashup of Gertrude Lawrence and Catherine Cornell, and some of the famous, Broadway actresses of the time.
How is that, to be able to play a character based on a celebrity?
It's interesting, and it's actually, she's completely self-centered, spoiled, melodramatic. It's a little difficult to give yourself permission to do that.
To capture all of that.
To really kind of capture all that and just, be so self-centered and so over the top in a lot of ways.
That sounds like fun.
It actually, yes.
Get
Once
out
I
of
get
your...
into it was really fun.
That's true.
Kind of let that go.
Yeah. And Charles, you're also in the play?
I am. I play Sheridan Whiteside.
Oh,
Sheridan
you
Whiteside.
do?
He's the man
I
who
am.
came to
I
dinner.
am.
You're the man we're trying to get rid of, then.
The manipulative monster. Yeah.
Although, Charles is, so charming and so handsome. Why would you want to throw him out? But he has to try really hard to be mean to everybody.
You're like, okay, we're done. You need to get out of here. So tell me, is there something with that the audience can take away from this, other than just laughing the entire time?
Well, I think
is there a message behind all of this?
Method behind it, sure. And I think the method is that that we really need to laugh. that laughter is not something that is cheap or that is, you know, unimportant. That going and being able to laugh not only just because things are just flat out funny, like the penguins and the octopus, but also because, you know, we can laugh at these celebrity people. You know, they are ridiculous. You know, they are full of themselves, and I think that that laughter is great on its own. Does that make sense? I
That
mean,
does make sense.
It's
Sometimes you do just need to
just
let
need
go.
to let go and laugh.
Are we going to be laughing from the beginning to the end on this one?
Absolutely.
And how long is the play?
It runs about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And 2 intermissions.
And that's great. You get to go there, just release, be done with reality,
Yes.
and get sucked into the wonderful play.
Absolutely.
So tell me when, where, and how can they get tickets?
So it runs through November the 30th at the Vortex Theatre, which is on 2900 Carlisle. And tickets are at vortexabq.org or 505-247-8600.
Okay. You don't want to miss this play, guys. You want to see how they're going to try to kick Charles out of the home. For more information on The Man Who Came to Dinner, you can go to our website, krqe.com. We'll be right back.